In this age of remakes and sequels, it's a solid question to ask. Are there any movies or this movie series that really shouldn't be remade? And a lot of people are going to make the argument that's almost every single series. I really feel like it's narrowed down to certain ones because, in my opinion, and I'll talk about this in another week, there are some series or single movies that I would love to see a remake of this. It deserves a remake. It could fix some problems with the original, really bring the original back to life, as we did with Dune and stuff like that, where there are some times that remakes can be good. But that's not what this video is about. In my opinion, here are some movies or movie series that I personally feel like should never get remakes, because in the best case scenario, no one will come and watch it. In the worst case scenario, there's so little they can change about it that they would just have to remake the original again, and at that point, again, no one will watch it, because why watch this remake with new actors when you could just watch the original? So this is not really in an order, more of like, in my opinion, from the beginning of this list is a little bit more like, if I saw a remake of it, would I watch it? Yes. But the end, it's the point, the last one on my list is like a no. If a remake came out of this, I would watch it, but I feel like there's nothing they could change. Well, I guess there are some stuff they could change, but it wouldn't be worth making a remake over. So let's start out with The Sound of Music. The Sound of Music is one of those things where if they made a remake of this, would I go and watch it? Probably, but I don't see anything in they could do to remake it that makes it better. The actors in it are iconic to the characters. I don't really see a remake of it that could actually work at all. Along with It's a Wonderful Life. Great movie. This one I feel a little bit more like if I saw a remake of it, I could see other actors playing this character. I could see a modern take on it where you maybe set it in modern days. Like, being able to see other actors play these characters, I would be okay with that. But in the same way, I feel like I would still go to the original. So that's more in that category of the first one, where best case scenario, people would still go to the original. I could still see a remake of it actually working, but I don't feel like there's anything in the remake that could change my opinion on whether I would just go watch the original. Another one on the list is Gone with the Wind. It's iconic. The actors in this are iconic. Everything about this is iconic. And so, with that being said, I could see a remake being made of it, but I don't really see, while it has problems in the movie, you have to understand it's of its time, and it's accurate to what the book is like. And I feel like there's something there where touching that would not really help at all. Yes, they had a different mentality of black people, but that's based off of how the book is, and some people want to cancel that book, cancel the movie. But that's because they don't really understand what it's dealing with in that movie, where it's supposed to kind of lay down that type of, they were racist in the South. That's how it worked. There was problems in the filmmaking that made it dealing with racism, but that's not based off the movie, that's off of the filmmaking of it. So I don't think that would really change too much if it was made nowadays, because you really couldn't change the story, because the story is what it's supposed to be, and it needs to stay what it is. In my opinion, The Princess Bride, there's no remake of it that could hold up. The actors, I was talking to someone today, the only actor I could ever see being replaced is the person who plays for Buttercup. She's the only one I could ever see someone else playing. Every other character are iconic by that actor. There's no one else who could play them, especially Emilia Montoya and Pheasant the Giant. Those two people, they are those actors. I'm sorry, there's no one else who can play them. The Six Finger Man, I feel like there's another one on the list. Wesley, the person who plays Wesley, also on the list. Even the person who played for Prince Humperdinck, while I could see someone else playing him somewhat, I don't feel like it would give the same energy, and it wouldn't work the same. There's nothing in it. The music in it, the comedy, everything about the movie is iconic, and there's nothing you can change about it to make it better for nowadays. There's nothing. It should just, if someone wants to watch The Princess Bride, they should not have to go and watch this new movie of it. They should just be able to watch the original. If you really want to see The Princess Bride in theaters, maybe just have it so they release it in theaters again if you want to watch it in theaters. That's what most of these movies on this list will turn into. It's just, if you really want to see it in theaters again, fans try to convince the studio to put it back in theaters. That's the best. Like, there's nothing about remaking it that would be worth it. It would cost them too much money, and everyone would go back to the original anyways. Another one on the list is Gladiator. The movie is iconic. The acting is iconic in it. Again, that was another movie. Cool. It would be cool to see in theaters. And we're going to get a sequel to it. But the original should be kept as those same actors. Should not be remade. There's nothing that you could change about it to make it worth being remade. I would not watch the remake of it, probably. Just truthfully. I might, if I find time, watch it, but it wouldn't be worth watching because I would just go back to the original. The original is good. I don't need to see a remake of it. Another one on the list. Oh, now we're getting into series. Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick. Now, they came out with a sequel recently, and that was good, and it followed up to the original. But I feel like if you try to remake this without Tom Cruise, without the, like, it's just not going to be the same. Same with like stuff like Rocky. Those type of movies where like it's known because of a certain actor, which ties into one of my next big ones, Pirates of the Caribbean. Pirates of the Caribbean was started as a movie based off of a ride. It became famous because of Johnny Depp. If you try to reboot Pirates of the Caribbean without Johnny Depp, and they're trying to make sequels without Johnny Depp, there's like talk about this, and it's kind of stupid. Johnny Depp is what made them famous. If you try to remake it without Johnny Depp, and that's where like I was talking to a friend today about this. The fact of the matter is, if they just remade it they would just remake it with Johnny Depp. And at that point, why did you remake it when you could have just continued the series with Johnny Depp? Are they great? No, they're not all. Like, the first one's really, I actually kind of like the fourth one and the fifth one, but they're not perfect. The first one is the closest to being really good out of all of them. They're not perfect, but there's nothing they could change about it, especially because they would just have to remake it with Johnny Depp. Why not just keep the series going instead of remaking it and then have to bring back Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow? Another one on the list, Indiana Jones. Yes, is there a part of me that wish we had seen more Indiana Jones movies, like had it as a TV series where you saw a bunch of adventures of Indiana Jones? Because you only got like 3 good adventures of Indiana Jones in his lifetime. I will admit that this is something on that list where if there was a remake of it with a younger actor playing him and they did it as a TV series, I would watch it because Indiana Jones is Indiana Jones, and who wouldn't want to watch more Indiana Jones? But in the same way, I don't want to see it because I feel like the 3 good movies we got of Indiana Jones are worth it. Not with Harrison Ford not to have to remake this, because I don't think the remake could ever hold up to as good. And as we see with these new sequels of it, with Harrison Ford is old, I get it, but just the writing is terrible because the people who really made those Indiana Jones movies good are no longer making them. So what's the point? It would be in the wrong hands, and we don't want that. Back to the Future is another one where it's like, okay, what could they do in a remake? The actors who play for these characters are iconic. The story ended well. We don't really need a sequel for it. If you really want to go back and watch the Back to the Future movies, go back and watch the Back to the Future movies. Don't force us to watch it in theaters as a new actors playing these characters, because it's just not going to work. You can just watch them at home. If you want to release them as the 50th anniversary of the Back to the Future movies, they're back in theaters. That would make sense. That's the only thing that could make sense. I don't feel remaking it would work at all. And I'm not even the biggest fan of the Back to the Future movies. On that same note, another one that I'm not a fan of. For anyone who's been following this channel for a while would know, I'm not a fan of Star Wars. But if they ever try to remake Star Wars, the Star Wars fans would freak out. Everyone would freak out. I don't like Star Wars, but I do understand that Star Wars is iconic now. And there's nothing they could do. The people who played for all the characters in Star Wars, those actors, they're iconic with those characters now. They can't live it down. Even how much Harrison Ford would want to live down that he is Han Solo, he is Han Solo now. It's iconic. Disney tried to remake Star Wars, like A New Hope, remake that, it would crumble to the ground. There's nothing they could do to make it better. There's even in my mind how bad it is. I get it. Most people most people love Star Wars, and it would get the fans. It's iconic with its even with its clunky effects. Sometimes it's iconic as that now, and there's nothing they can do to change that. They can go through and edit the movie again to make it so it's more, the effects are better, stuff like that. They can do that, but they can't remake it. No one would want to see a remake of that, even if people talk about it online, but that's more of just, they don't want to see it, they just talk about who could do it. So that's another one that I actually don't like Star Wars, but I agree, I would not want to see a remake of Star Wars, even how much I would change so much about it to make it so it's better. Now we're getting to one where this actually is getting a remake, and I will talk about it in a different video. I keep meaning to, for the last year, make a video about this, because I have a list of things that I want to see done in this remake, but that is Harry Potter. I was ready to put out this video when I first made it on my channel. I wanted to because I was already passionate about how I didn't want to see a remake for Harry Potter or my number one. But then I heard the announcement that they were remaking it, and I'm like, okay, why? Is not, yes, are there little details from the books that they could change? Yes. But just like with my first one, the actors are iconic to the characters. Daniel Radcliffe, he is Harry Potter. I'm sorry. Yeah, could you recast it so that it's someone who has green eyes? Yes. There's all these little details you could do, but no one will see anyone else but Daniel Radcliffe. He can act in as much movies as he wants, and he would always be Harry Potter. Emma Watson, any movie she wants. She can act in so many movies, but she's always going to be known as Hermione Granger. These actors are tied to these characters now. There's nothing they can do to live that down. Nothing they can do. The music in it, just like where my number one is going to be. The music is iconic in this, kind of like Star Wars. The music is iconic in Star Wars too. And people were complaining about this when they saw the teaser for the new remake of it. They were using the design for the castle from the movies, and they're using the music from the movies. If you can't bring, as I talked about in the beginning of this video, there's nothing they could do to make it better. There's nothing they could add on to it. The characters are iconic now. The actors who played these characters, the music, the visuals, everything about this is iconic to who Harry Potter is now. Yes, could you make it so you have Winky the Elf, where you have all these other characters they left out? Could you even make it so Dumbledore doesn't get mad at that one scene? Yes. But why is it that worth? No one's actually going to want to watch the remake. Instead, make sequels, make stuff like that to Harry Potter. Don't make a remake. No one's going to want to see a remake. It hasn't been long enough, first of all. And even if it has been long enough, those movies are iconic. The music is iconic. Everything about the movie is iconic. You can't change anything about it to make it worth having a remake. And I will talk about in the other video and talk about in different videos on this topic. One way the remakes could for these movies could actually work. Now to my number one, which anyone who's been a fan of this channel for a while will just know who I am personally and has looked behind me. You know, the fact of the matter is, there's an obvious thing. Number one is 100% The Lord of the Rings. As a Tolkien fan, yes. Would I have loved to see Tom Bombadil on screen? Yeah. Would I have loved to see Faramir done right? Yes. There's so many stuff I would have loved to have seen done better. But the music, the actors who played for these characters, the cinematography, everything about those movies, every little scene are iconic now. I'm sorry. There's nothing you could change that could get even Tolkien fans to be like, this version is better than the movies. The movies are just the music. I've talked about this before on my channel, and I talk about this to my friends all the time. There's really only one movie series that I listen to the soundtrack, not just like, oh, the songs from it. The soundtrack itself, lyricless music. That's Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings, I can put on the Fellowship of the Ring soundtrack and understand what's going on, all this different stuff. I can name off the different songs because they're so iconic. Every little thing about them. Just like with Star Wars, just like with Harry Potter. When I remember I did a test on one of my siblings once where I played the Harry Potter theme song. They had not watched Harry Potter. I started playing that. They were like, oh, this must be something like Harry Potter because it has a magic, the theme song has a magical feel to it. Just like with the Lord of the Rings, the Shire theme, the Fellowship theme, the Nazgul theme, every theme in this movie has so well done that you just hear it and you automatically know exactly what scene you're in. Like the Shire sounds like a rolling hills of peaceful lands. It sounds like the Shire. Everything, you just close your eyes and you just picture the Shire because that's what it is. It's not just ingrained into your mind, that's what it is, but it's because the sound of the music is that. I wish I could play them. The soundtrack is iconic, it's beautiful, there's nothing that you can change. If you made a remake of this, you have to change the soundtrack. Or if you didn't, what's the point of making a remake? Because if you're gonna make a remake, at least you have to change something about it. And in my mind, a remake should have a different soundtrack. That's my opinion. You could have like hints of the original, but you should do an original soundtrack to make it worth having a remake. So really, there's nothing I could see that would make me be like, oh yeah, I would prefer watching a remake of The Lord of the Rings over the originals, which are masterpieces. So that being said, I wanted to end with what's the big thing we can get out of this, and that's one, in my opinion, really none of these deserve remakes. But as I said in the video, at the end I would explain this. The one thing I feel like could make a remake, and I'll talk about this in my Harry Potter video, and I've heard other people mention this before, and I'm like, yes, I agree with you on this. The one thing I could see with Star Wars, Harry Potter, Indiana Jones, all these different movies that I could actually see working, especially with Harry Potter and the Lord of the Rings, is if they made an animated version of it. I think a bunch of fans of Harry Potter keep mentioning to Max, if you're going to make this remake, at least make it animated, because then it could be something different. I would actually, honestly, love to see an animated version of Harry Potter. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, if they did that, I would actually agree with the idea of making a remake, because then you could see like Voldemort in all his glory with his red eyes. You can make him really creepy. You can have these scenes which are hard to put on screen now, because you can just make them animated. Like, there's so much you can do with that. Same with Lord of the Rings. I feel like Lord of the Rings are less so. Like, if you made an animated version of it, they already did some of that, and I guess it would be different. I really agree with the idea of, if you're going to make a remake for the Lord of the Rings, for Harry Potter, stuff like that, make it into a TV show and make it animated. That's my opinion. But especially with Harry Potter, I would actually watch an animated version of Harry Potter, and I would talk about that in my Harry Potter video sometime. The truth is, you would have to change so much in these remakes to make it worth it, and most of these movies, really, there's nothing you can change that would actually make someone say this is better than the original. And that's one opinion that, in my mind, that goes into remakes. And I get it, a lot of these companies don't, and they're probably not going to see this video, but if anyone from these companies see these videos, take it to heart that the fact that fans of these movies don't want to see a remake of something if there's nothing if you're not adding anything that could cause it to be worth it. If you're making an animated version of Harry Potter or an animated version of Lord of the Rings, maybe you can get some fans. Especially if it's Harry Potter, I feel like you could actually get a lot of fans who are like, oh, this is interesting, different. Like, especially because the idea of, like, you can be like, oh, like, I've been watching Harry Potter. Oh, which one? The animated version or the live action? So with all that being said, tell me in the comments below if there's any movies you can think of that you're like, oh yeah, I would never want to see a remake of this. If there's any ones I miss, there's some stuff that I didn't put on this list because I haven't seen it. Like, I've heard a lot of people talk about how The Godfather, stuff like that, should never get a remake. I haven't seen The Godfather yet. I keep meaning to watch it, but I haven't found time yet. I feel like that could be on this list too. I mean, there's like, tell me what's on your list of that stuff. I also want to apologize for, it's been months since I put a video out. I have been really, really busy, to be honest. Like, it comes with being an adult, but I was working over the summer, like 80-hour work weeks practically. I was working my ass off, and whenever I had a chance, I was sleeping, basically. That's my free time, was sleep, eat, work. Sleep, eat, work for months straight. I have kind of like a couple weeks now where I got a little bit more sleep, because I was going like, days without sleep practically, to be honest, because I was like too busy working and stuff. But now that I'm able to slowly have more time, I'm able to, it's like 9:30 at night, and I finally found some time that I'm able to record this video and put it out to you guys. Hopefully tomorrow I'll get to record and I'll be able to put this out. But yeah, honestly, sorry for not being able to put out videos. I've been wanting to put out videos for months. Like, I keep stressing out about how I'm not putting out videos because I really want to, and I haven't been growing this channel at all because I haven't been able to put anything out, and I haven't been able to talk to you guys really. But I told you guys last year I would get back to educational videos. I still haven't done that because then I got busy with work, but hopefully I'll be able to put out educational videos. I put out one this year, and I really want to get back to actually making those educational videos because that's what my channel is about. So guys, tell me your thoughts below about this topic. Hopefully next week I'll be able to put out a video talking about movies I feel like should really get remakes, or just really haven't got the chance to be finished, like with the Narnia series and stuff like that, where like it really needs to have a full remake where it actually gets through all 7 books. Tell me your thoughts about this topic, about any topic. If there's any videos you really want to see, tell me down below. If you guys haven't yet, please consider subscribing and liking this video. Thank you guys for watching. This has been the Movie Net Reviewer, Peter Wary, signing off.